What's up, Raiders? Bionic here. Welcome to a Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're doing a build video. We're doing the Seer. The one, the only, my new favorite nuker in the game, Seer. Actually, not new favorite. I've liked her for a very long time, obviously for this skill right here, Karma Burn, which is going to eat the buffs of your team, the enemy team, and then deal enemy max HP. Pretty solid overall. Not a lot of champions in the game can do enemy max HP, and this one is the only one that works off of the buffs. So this also counts as like a remove buffs, right? Also not a lot of champions in the game that can do that, right? So this skill is also somewhat useful, but depending on how you do your rotation, it's not that important. Okay, so right now the way that it is set up on my team, she goes straight for Karma Burn. I've talked about this before, but if there's already an increased crit rate up, she's gonna go straight into her A2. Most of the time, at least, right? I think. On her A1, she has an extra turn, which we don't really like. That's kind of funny because even though it's nice, like, it just screws up your rotation when you're in the dungeons and whatnot. So ideally, I would want for this not to proc. But anyway, all that being said, guys, we're going to look at her gear. We're going to do some gameplay. I have shown her in action a little bit before, right? You guys might have seen my latest videos. Ice Golem 20, Dragon 20, Fire Knight 20, all with Seer. Now, I will say this. These are speedruns, and they're not perfect. It has failed on numerous occasions. So either I need to fine-tune a little bit more once again, or maybe something is off. Maybe you guys will know. But what I think is happening is, let's say in the Dragon Dungeon, if the decreased defense does not land and then she goes into the Karma Burn, it doesn't necessarily one-shot the wave. So maybe I just don't have enough damage yet, or maybe I need to go for something like a Savage set. Anyway, all that being said, let's look at her gear, which is pretty straightforward. Some of my best speed pieces are on this champion. Okay, so we have 3 speed, and then 2 accuracy, sorry, and then 1 random piece. Okay, so that's how I made it balance out to get over 200 speed. I think this is somewhat important if you want to go twice before each wave. Like, the first wave is never a problem. When you're in a dungeon, the second wave is a little bit of a problem if you can't go into your rotation perfectly. Okay, 100% crit rate is super important. 270% crit damage is good, but like 300 might be that much better. You also need a decent amount of accuracy for dungeons, probably over about 220 to be sure that you eat the buffs of the enemies if it gets to that point, right? If you're going to use her in the arena, you need way more, because removing the buffs is also based off of accuracy. All right, so I've noticed that in the past. I tried to use her in the arena as a nuker. Maybe we can try a run today, actually, but sometimes it's not quite enough, especially if you meet like a tanky team that has a Rosin in the lead. You might not be able to steal all those buffs. Okay, so gloves, obviously crit damage, 6-star, chest, HP percent, doesn't really matter. It could be defense percent, but you're not really looking for attack. You don't want her to deal a ton of damage with her A1. You're really just looking to have as much crit rate, speed, accuracy, and crit damage, probably being the most important stats. So we have 6-star speed boots with a quadruple roll on crit damage, the only pair like that on my account. We have a 6-star crit damage amulet. Okay, so this right here obviously is not easy to get, right? And I still don't have a 6-star accuracy banner with a decent amount of speed. As for the ring, defense, HP, anything that has good stats overall, mine is not that great right now. Then the rest of the substats, obviously just a lot of crit rate, right? Like this one right here. Oh, yeah, a 4 roll on crit rate. Apparently I got one of those too on my account, so there you go. Then we have here 2 pieces of accuracy because I didn't quite have enough, like I just said. Okay, all of her skills are done. Ideally, you might not even want to book this all the way to the extra 5% here, but it does happen sometimes. Okay, there's not much you can do about it. So because of that, I also suspect, sorry, that this might be the reason why I sometimes fail at some of the runs, right? This one completely done, this one completely done. As for the masteries, I am using Flawless Execution because I want consistency, but eventually, if I have enough crit damage without Flawless Execution, I might go to Helm Smasher, also assuming that I would have enough accuracy to use her a little bit more in the arena. But for now, this is my typical nuke build, okay, for the offense side, and then we have a little bit more accuracy here along with this Laura of Steel to increase a little bit more the base stats. One thing I will mention here real quick though is that in the office tree line, if you get this skill right here, Whirlwind of Death, do not forget to take this into consideration for the second wave, because she's going to speed up by about 18 speed. So if she ends up being sped up, right, by 18, and then she passes the buffer, which is in my case the Mausoleum Mage, right, I got to be sure that she's not going to pass this guy. So 18 plus 206, right, I'm at 224. My Mausoleum Mage is still going to go before her. I think same thing I want here with my War Maiden for the Dragon, for instance, 226. See, so if she does get that to proc, it's going to be at 224. Still good. My rotation is not screwed up. So that is something you got to take like I said, into account, because it has failed before. Because of that, I totally forgot about it. Then it kept falling off of like a proper rotation. I was like, what's going on? So it really was just because of that mastery. Okay, so pretty straightforward. That's my Seer. Let's check the Great Hall real quick, because yeah, it does affect my stats overall. I am in gold tier 4, right? So let's do a dragon run. I think that's the one that's the fastest right now, and I'll explain to you guys what's going on, even though I have done an entirely separate video on that one, right? But pretty simple. We have enemy max HP, buffer, somewhat of a buffer, but also cooldown reduction with a shield set. So that's why I'm saying a buffer, and then AoE decrease defense. Okay, so let's go. All right. First wave, pretty straightforward. Like I said, will always work, so as long as the decreased defense lands on all the enemies. Okay, so I'm going to slow it down here a little bit, just so that you guys see what's going on at the second wave, because that's where it's usually a little bit more complicated, right? So then we go into a full rotation, all the way to the Renegade, reset the cooldowns, boom, boom, and then back into this here. Right there, I'm maybe not fast enough to beat the Apothecary, but I don't want to speed her up, because then she might be over that 224, which means she's going to be out of sync. Okay, here for the boss, it's also somewhat straightforward, but I am relying on the Royal Guard and the Seer to deal part of the damage, so that this remains as fast as possible. You could sub the Royal Guard for the Gore Grab. I was doing that for a while. It was a little bit safer because you have a revive, but now I'm just really looking for as fast as possible, right? So the Renegade obviously is a key component here, right, to reset the cooldowns. She's great, probably going to be next on my list of champion builds, because I like her. She's level 50, but it's good enough. Don't need a Prince Kaimar, don't need this champion to be at level 6, although maybe it would help if, let's say, she goes down before she gets to reset the skills, like that right there. If she would have taken a hit, she might have not been able to do it. See, so right there, perfect rotation. So a minute 17, but that's because we slowed it down, but you can see right here, okay? So best time, 1 minute with the mighty Seer, okay? And now let's try HP percent and speed. Do I want that? I don't think I do. We'll check later. Okay, so let's try Tag Arena. Maybe I can get something going. But at the same time, I will say this. This is not a champion that I use as my main nuker. So she's currently somewhat of a float on the third team. What about this right here? I think it might work. Let's try. Okay, so you guys will have to be a little bit patient for me to get there. If I get there, right? Yeah. Okay, let's try this. And it's a Rosin lead 2 on the third team, so that might work. Okay. Are they faster? They are, so that's a problem. But they got frozen, and that's why I keep my Torment on that second team, because I expect to be a little bit slower. Therefore, this happens, right? And then I can go into my Rotos and start cleaning up all these champions. Almost, right? Rotos is not that great. Well, he's good, but I mean, like, he could be a lot better. My gear just needs to be that much better, right? So slowly but surely, I am working on that. So this one is pretty much a gimme. Thank you, Torment, right? This guy is a beast. All right, we are faster here. Am I going to make it to this guy first? Yes. Block or increase those cooldowns. Then they can't do much. We can go into our Foley, hopefully, and nuke this entire team in one hit, right? Yep. Done. Okay, here we go. can we do this, right? Even if they take a turn, we're actually okay with that. We want them to buff, which is typically what happens on the enemy team. Even if they don't, though, I'm gonna hope that I can make it all the way to my Seer. Remember, this one is only like 206, right? Even with a decent speed lead, 273 right now, I might not make it all the way to that champion. We're also using a Style of the Drakes here to add, hopefully, stuns. Why? Because if you've noticed, I have that Mastery Opportunist on my Seer, which means I can deal an extra 12% damage because I don't have the AoE decreased defense on this team. Okay, so we're getting an extra buff from the shield. We're letting go of the AoE decreased defense, and we're hoping that with the stun we deal enough damage. Okay, and then we go into our nuke. Not quite enough. You see what I mean? So like either I would need to make her that much stronger, maybe in a Savage set, or maybe just, you know, get over 300% crit damage, if that's even possible. But anyway, it's still somewhat of an easy win. But if this doesn't work, and I do not nuke the entire team, or at least 2 or 3 champions, then I'm usually sit and duck. I don't have any follow-up with this team, right? So she's a good nuker, but if she's your only nuker on that team, chances are it's going to be hard anyway. You know what I mean? Right there with an extra turn. Pretty cool. So we got to remove the unkillable on that Skull Crusher. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. My Seer right now. I want to know what you guys think about her, how I built her. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later.